Prime Minister mourns with New Zealand, sends condolences to families of the victims of Ethiopian Airlines, and
I think that by all accounts, Jamaica is doing very well.
You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Anthony Morgan. Prime Minister Andrew Holness last Friday condemned the killing of 50 persons and the injuring of scores more at two mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand. Calling the mass shooting a horrible tragedy, Mr. Holness said terrorism had no place in society. As he joined in mourning with the people of New Zealand, the Prime Minister extended condolences to the victims' families and prayed for the speedy recovery of those injured. A formal letter conveying Prime Minister Holness's sentiments was dispatched to New Zealand's Prime Minister. Prime Minister Andrew Holness issued a similar statement upon learning of the crash of an Ethiopian Airlines jetliner in Addis Ababa on March 10. The aircraft, which had 157 persons from over 35 countries on board, crashed shortly after takeoff, killing all occupants. On Wednesday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness challenged heads of missions and diplomats to implement measures that will improve and sustain economic conditions on the island. At the launch of the annual Diplomatic Week observation, he declared that Jamaica's economy was doing very well and could be used as a model to other countries. Asserting that the country was in a better position when compared to years past, Mr. Holness cited a reduction of the debt to gross domestic product ratio, as well as record employment.
It came at great sacrifice of the people, and it came as a result of the building of social consensus. Indeed, that underpins everything that we've been able to do on the economic front.
In addition to tourism and diversifying energy, the Prime Minister highlighted the significant infrastructure development projects taking place in and around the corporate area.
We expect that we will finish those major infrastructure developments in the next 2 months, and that will have a significant impact on our economy. Clearly, the improvement in roads, along with sewage, water, telecommunications, will create the basis for a regeneration of Kingston.
Mr. Holness also assured the diplomatic corps that the state was continuously implementing strategies, inclusive of social interventions, to deal with crime and other challenges.
So, good things are happening. The challenges, I believe that we are putting in place the measures to overcome them. And in terms of our foreign affairs and our posture internationally, we continue to support wholeheartedly a system of multilateralism and a system of order in international affairs, which will ensure that small countries like Jamaica can survive. For this government, achieving gender equality is now accepted, understood, and pursued as a condition for inclusive economic growth, social equity, human capital, and socio-emotional development. It is indeed an integral part of our prosperity plan.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness committing his government to equality as a priority. He was addressing the Women in Law Conference at the University of the West Indies Regional Headquarters on International Women's Day. Mr. Holness revealed that several policy initiatives, including the recently announced $14 billion tax break for businesses, impact gender equality. So too the allocations for 2 additional women's shelter. The country's gender policy, the Prime Minister said, was also geared at addressing gender-based violence.
For the government, it is not just a fashionable catchphrase. These are things that we see as important in ensuring the equitable and inclusive development of our society. And that's why we have been making certain investments.
The Prime Minister recently outlined plans to improve the historic capital of Spanish Town, St. Catherine.
There are significant allocations to repair roadways within the town centre and the adjoining community. But we also have plans for the development of the infrastructure and the buildings in the town. You have so many heritage sites that in any other country, this little town would be a tourist destination. There are not many towns
within the Caribbean that has the architecture, Victorian and later, that Spanish Town has. And it is a sad thing to see it deteriorating and the citizens not getting the full value of the history.
Mr. Holness was addressing participants in the 10,000 Men and Their Families March organized by churches in the community on March 10. And finally, the Prime Minister sent congratulations to Arthur Williams, who has been appointed Jamaica's High Commissioner Designate to the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And that's how we close out Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.